Hello, today I will be discussing the influence of conformity in public schools. Conformity in the United States is constricting creative freedom, especially when one is trying to think or make opinions for themselves. When choosing a subject to study or a career to pursue, most students make their decisions based solely off of peer or parental pressure. In addition, adolescents always try their best to fit in with the rest of a group too, so rather than that person being influenced by others, they would also want to assimilate with everyone else. Groups of people lead to conformity, which is the act of one's attitude change to fit more closely knit within a group. United States school systems should put forth a greater effort to reduce conformity among students to encourage independence. When all students believe in the same action, thought, answer, idea, self-determination is restricted. The authors of the first stimulus source researched the effects of cohesion, and the results were very mixed, where a lack of individualism and uniqueness was found. This leads one to ask, to what extent does conformity in the United States negatively influence adolescent human behavior, more so in public schools? When one is asked about their stance on the topic, they mostly have their own opinions set in stone internally. However, if that thought conflicts with the majority point of view, they will most likely conform to that group's common judgment. Even with this, people are often rewarded for acting in accordance with everyone else, even if the majority is not 100% correct all the time. This graph here indicates that the number of influence sources and percent influence are directly proportional, based on several studies. So, state legislators should seek to lessen conformity among students. Conformity is mainly produced from ritualistic synchrony, which is simultaneous actions performed by an assembly of people. Two experiments from this stimulus material explore the negative effects of synchrony and conformity. One evaluation focused on how coordination and creativity are correlated. In the trial, people were asked to march either within a group in step with an experimenter or at their own pace. Then they had to write a creative story. It was clear that those who marched at their own pace displayed more creativity on their writing pieces than those who did not. In a secondary study, synchrony was manipulated through a chanting task. Results showed that minority participants made a smaller effort to argue their own opinion and then later repeat it. This social experiment is vital to the evaluation of synchrony, since it showed that individuals are not only suppressed to argue for their own opinion, but their desire to continue to argue for that same stance is also limited. There's a significant interaction of stress-type effects and conformity in adolescence, which translates to student performances. A source from the stimulus material establishes that adolescents are challenged with learning how to balance themselves while fitting in with a social group. This is because adolescence is a developmental stage during which the need to establish a unique identity coincides with the desire to find a sense of belonging within a group. An example would be in the classroom setting, where a teacher would instruct a group of students to come up with an answer as a group. What most likely will occur is one student will come up with their own answer, and everyone else will go along with it, no matter if that answer is right or wrong. This also results in a lessened understanding of the material for every student in that group. A theoretical alternative would include mandatory counseling provided by the school district. It's been shown that social anxiety leads adolescents to exhibit problematic conformity behaviors. Negative consequences are clearly faced from this conformity, which is why children should have an opportunity to speak with a trusted adult. However, this resolution is limited to parental consent and could possibly even take away from valuable instruction time. In addition, the effectiveness of counseling on conformity reduction has yet to be proven effective. While collaboration with peers can encourage higher order thinking, academic performance declines with increased class sizes. The effectiveness of class size reduction was evaluated by a student-teacher achievement ratio study conducted in Tennessee. It was proven that a reduction in class size by around 32% was equivalent to an additional 3 months of schooling. With less influence from their peers, students can learn to think more for themselves. Of course, more classes with fewer students will require the building of more classrooms and the hiring of more teachers, which is really costly. A way to lighten this issue would be to only implement these changes in the elementary setting, since students in the earliest grades will most greatly be affected by these results. This is precisely what the California Department of Education did in 1996 by introducing the K-3 class size reduction program. This program funded to school districts that reduced class sizes to 20 students or fewer per teacher. It definitely positively impacted the academic performance of many students. As the program grew, so did the need for funding. While it was found that the test scores of 4th graders that were affected by CSR grew by at least a 0.25 of a standard deviation from 1996 to 2000, it was also noted that the program wasn't very cost-effective, and it was all cut in 2012. The possibility of today's state legislators finding a similar but less costly alternative would heavily contribute to the reduction of conformity. A more budget-friendly option for reducing conformity in public schools would be for school districts to lighten workloads and make a simpler curriculum. This solution would help resolve the issue, since as an individual finds a topic adverse or confusing, conformity is increased. Individuals seek guidance in clear or complex situations, so making concepts more understandable would ensure a diminishing in the effects of conformity. The complexity with this solution would be the fact that some children are ahead in the mastering of a concept than others, and neither parents, teachers, or school districts would want to hold children against their expansion of learning. Despite the potential financial concerns surrounding the reduction of class sizes and the concerns with a simpler curriculum, only implementing changes in the elementary setting would heavily contribute to the reduction of conformity. This remains as the most effective solution, and many students' futures depend on it, which is why it is critical that efforts are made to reduce it in the school setting. Thank you.
Okay, so first question is about your research project, or your research process. What evidence did you gather that you did not include, and why did you choose not to include it?
So, when researching the negative effects of conformity, I came across an experiment called the Stanley Milgram experiment. In this experiment, participants were asked to fake shock an actor, and the person monitoring the experiment told them to increase the voltage of the shock each time. And the participants did listen and did not judge if that was right or wrong, which was clearly wrong. While it was a great experiment that showed the negative effects of conformity on human behavior, it didn't flow well with the presentation because it did not focus on student performance. And I wanted to make my research completely based on the behaviors of students in the school setting.
My next question for you is, what are the implications of your findings to your local community?
So when formulating my second solution, it was found that it wasn't cost effective. So if state legislators were able to re-implement the reduction of class sizes today in my community, there would have to be tax cuts in different budget areas, such as the art department. Some money that goes towards the art would possibly have to be cut and put in towards the building of more classrooms, for example. And the people that pay tax money to have these programs running might not be completely satisfied and content with this because it's not up in their hands.
All right, great job.
Thank you.